Okay, first thing we're going to need to do is open Performance Monitor. Do this by clicking on Start, typing in Run in the search bar, and then typing in Perfmon here. It's going to open Performance Monitor. From here, we're going to expand data collector sets out, also expand user defined. And we're going to right click on that collector set that we configured and hit Stop. What that's going to do is stop that performance counter set from running, and now we can go take a look at that data. What we're going to do now is go up to the Performance Monitor tab up here, and we're going to need to set a source for this. To do this, you right click and go to Properties, and then we're going to go to Source. So right now it's just monitoring the computer, but what we're going to do is actually select a log file. Go ahead and select the radio button and hit Add, and I actually have it in here. In the last tutorial I said save him in a folder called Perfmon on the C drive, and there it is, nice and easy. Okay, we've got our file. Go ahead and hit Apply, and it's going to have the date ranges for you, and hit OK. Alright, so now we've got our log file loaded. The next thing we're going to do is add some counters. So go ahead and right click and say Add Counter. This is going to bring up counters from the computer that the Perfmon was taken from. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and add all the basics. First thing is going to be memory available in bytes. It's going to tell us what our memory usage looks like. Next thing I'm going to do is go down here to process, and we're going to want percent processor time, but we're going to grab it for all instances, so make sure you select that before you hit add. And the last thing we're going to grab here to start looking at is percent processor time under processor. Go ahead and make sure it's on total and then click add. Once we have these three added here, go ahead and hit OK. And like I said, this is just kind of a generic starter set that I use. First thing we're going to look at here, available in bytes. This is going to be the available memory you have. We see that it's, let's go ahead and hit this highlight, and what that does is it highlights the counter you're looking at. It makes it a solid black bar. Available in bytes looks like it's up here at the top. And what I'm going to do for that is it's set to a 1.0 scale, which means for every 1 megabyte free there is a 1 that is counted on the graph. What we're going to do is scale that back just 1 decimal point. So let's go ahead and hit apply here. It's still up there at the top, 100. It's pretty common for memory, as you know, memory 1024 megabytes is a gig. Systems nowadays, you're going to have 8, plus gigs. Let's drop it down 1 more decimal point here. So now we got 0.01. What we're going to do is go ahead and hit apply and OK, and look at it, memory drop down really nice there. So if we take our scale here, what we can see is that there are 30 meg is what it looks like, but when you move the decimal points over, that's telling us that there's 3000 meg there, which is 3 gigs. But what's interesting here is that it's a solid line here. Our issue statement was sometime between 3 and 330 of system slowness. So as you can see, memory doesn't change at all anywhere close to that. We have one little boop in here, but nothing to worry about. What we're going to go ahead and do there is we're going to select that counter at the bottom, and you hit delete, and boom, it's gone. Next time, we're going to start going down the line here and kind of doing that same thing with the delete button. Now that we have our highlight clicked, let's go ahead and look for the black bar. It's at the bottom here. Not interested, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. Once again, at the bottom, a couple of boops. Not interested. I'm going to go down here and just kind of clean these things up. Oh, we got another top bar here. That is total processor time. Let's go ahead and take a scale back on this one. The way that we find our scale is going to be by looking over at the bottom right hand corner at the average, high, and low values. Figure your decimals by that. So once again, just move that decimal point one over, and look at that. Same as memory, pretty solid. Nothing here around 3 o'clock where things are starting to run really slow. So let's go ahead and delete this one. Next thing, it's down there at the bottom as well. As you see it down here. Go ahead and delete that. Nothing going on there. Still at the bottom here. Once again, gotta go ahead and clean a few of these up here. See, this is the way the majority of processes operate when it comes to processor time. We got something, nothing. Oh, we got a little spike there. Still not close to 3. I tell you what, we'll keep a hold of that one. So go ahead and skip that. Go ahead and go down one and start with that deleting again as we run through these at the bottom here. And what I'm looking at, in case you guys are wondering, is just it's sitting down here at 0. There's nothing interesting about that counter right now. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. Also, this one's at the top. We got another idle here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and do the same thing with that scale that we've done in the past here. Move that just 1 decimal point and it dropped down, and look at that. A little bit of interest here compared to the others. Some variation in that line. We'll go ahead and keep that one too. Going on to the next counter, nothing here. Nothing. Yeah, boring. Boring. And bam, look at this guy. Something definitely interesting about this. Let's go ahead and keep that guy around too. Nothing. Nope. All these are at the bottom. Just wasting your time to look into these majority of the time. So let's go ahead and keep going. Alright, it looks like that's about everything except the percent processor time here. And if you look over here, this is our actual processor. This is no process, which is very interesting. And like I said, our time here was between 3 and 3:30 that they said they really started having issues. And so let's go here between the counters we have left and kind of see what. Interesting. These two kind of follow similar lines. Let's go here to this guy. He was interesting to us because he had some variation, but after looking at these other two, we would expect the idle process time to go down as the other process times go up. Let's go ahead and get rid of him. Check out this guy too. You know, he was interesting too, but now that we've seen these other two counters, he really doesn't interest us anymore. So let's get rid of him. Here is where it gets very interesting. Hit these two lines, and if you guys notice anything, at the same time, right around here, it was a spike. And what is this? This is a instance of picture editor. So the process name is picture editor here, and it picks up around. That's about 240-ish, 235, and it goes all the way until right here, which is about 325. So about an hour's time there. It's sitting up there at 100% for that process. I tell you what, let's do that thing where we take that scale back like we were doing earlier. So we'll go ahead and right click, properties, and let's take this back just that 1 decimal point. And there it is. Oh, look at this. Granted, we are scaled back here, but we can see the overall footprint. Here at just probably right around 330, we see this big jump in CPU. And if we look at the box here, we see the maximum value for that is going to be 178. This tells us that since it's over 100, that picture editor is consuming almost 2 full processors. This is going to lead me to believe that this picture editor.exe, that process is going to be an issue. From here, we would use further tools to troubleshoot, but this is how you identify the problem process when you start your troubleshooting. Perfmon is a tool that we use to identify problem processes, not to identify the problem within that process. So, you know, this can't be used for everything, but this is a fantastic tool to identify that process that we need to look further into.